my name is Courtney and today you're joining me for my first online class. Today I'm going to be looking and playing with the Magnolia Lane suite, which is on pages 36 to 38 of the 2019-2020 annual catalogue from Stampin' Up. I'm glad that you could join me. So now let's flip this camera over and let's get started. Okay, these are the 3 cards that we're going to be making. You can make them in any order and you can actually swap out the sentiments for each one. So you'll notice in your packs when you get them, they'll actually all be separated and you'll receive bundles similar to these, or the same as these actually. They'll all be bundled and you can actually swap out your sentiments. The sentiments that I've used on these 3 cards have come from the Good Morning Magnolia set, which is part of the Magnolia Lane bundle or suite, and the Magnolia Bloom set, which you'll find in our current beginners catalogue. And it's just a little offering of coordinating products. So you've actually also got a happy birthday and a thank you instead of thanks in there. And these ones are photopolymer. So I have already got them on the sentiments all on some blocks just so that I'm ready to go. And we're going to get started. Okay, well, let me share this card with you. This card brings in a mixture of items. We've used the designer series paper from the Magnolia Lane suite. We've used the dies and we've used the trim. Okay, you'll notice I've also decorated my envelope. So this is your pack. So you'll pull out your pack and you'll have quite a few goodies in here. Okay, so I've given you your ribbon, everything to complete this card. All you really need to do is stamp the sentiment. Okay, so we'll get started. Let's pop everything to the side. Bring in my trusty bone folder. Just folding this piece of cardstock in half. This is Mossy Meadow, this cardstock. I'm just going to burnish it with my bone folder. I'm just running it along that edge and it just gives it a nice smooth edge and the card sits flat. Okay, just pop that to the side. So you'll notice here in my pieces I've got a piece of designer series paper that's double-sided. If you wanted to, you could actually turn it over, but the choice is yours. Still looks quite pretty. Okay, so I chose to use the Mossy Meadow side with the leaves. You've also got a plain piece of Whisper White and you've got your envelope. Okay, and I'll show you what I do with those shortly. This beautiful frame is from the Ornate Layers, which is actually a new stamp set, and as part of a bundle that's a new stamp set and frame dies. Pretty, isn't it? There's quite a few in there. They actually make really nice frames. So, and if you look nicely, can't talk, probably need another cup of tea. The stitched rectangle frames will actually fit quite beautifully inside of it. So I've chosen to use those. Now, I will stamp my sentiment first, just so that I know what sort of room I've got to play with. On mine, I've actually used Memento and I've put Thinking of You. You can put the Thinking of You if you prefer a happy birthday or a thanks. You can use any of those. I'm actually going to make this another Thinking of You card because then as long as I don't put a sentiment on the middle, I can actually make it anything. Okay, so I'm just using my Memento. I'm going to move these leaves out from underneath, otherwise I'm going to end up crooked. I'm just lining it up on my grid so that I can actually stamp it and stamp it well. I'm sorry about the shadows. It's got a bit late. It just seems time just keeps getting away from me and I need the house to be quiet. And I don't know about, perfect. I don't know about at your place, but it's so hard to get a quiet house at the moment when there's 5 people home. If someone's not on a Zoom meeting, someone else is doing some other activity. I quite frequently lose my craft room to a dance studio of an evening at the moment. Okay, so I've just stamped that on there. Okay, you can swap your sentiment out for anything that you've got. Okay, and that's going to go on here. Now, but before it goes on there, I don't know if you've noticed on my card, I've got my ribbon. Okay, who's not so crash hot at tying bows? Well, I never used to be, so I'm just going to take this little leaf off here so that I can show you how I tie my bows. So I'll just move that to the back. I can just hear someone coming home, and if it's my husband, he'll actually be on the phone, so he won't be aware of what I'm doing. All right, so I've used a block. This block's about approximately this size, a similar size to my piece of that I want to wrap it around. Okay, so I've used my block. I've got, oh, there's a kid. And then I'm going to wrap it around, tie it like I'm tying a bow around my block. And we just go to here. Okay, so, and then neaten it up a little bit. Pull it tight. That's the reason why I like the block, because I can pull them tight. Okay, until I'm happy with my bow. Sometimes it takes a lot of fiddling. I've given you enough ribbon so you've got plenty of room to fiddle, and you will be trimming it off. Okay, so I just want to get this bow to something that I like, and I don't want it to be too big and take over. I think that's going to be good. Okay. Okay, so just bring in a pair of scissors, ribbon scissors. I'm just going to trim that little baby off there, and that one off there. I'm going to slip it off my block, and I've got my bow. I'm going to be able to wiggle around and see where I want it. Okay, so if I want my bow here, then I'm going to need to snip this great big circle about there. You could cut it in half, but you want it to make sure that it's going to go all the way around. All right. So I'm going to need to put some snail here and here. If you need to, you can mark it with a pen, or you can actually just eyeball it and go for it. Okay, you won't be able to get this snail on whilst it's sitting on your bow. All right, so I'll just put a little bit of snail on here and here. Okay, now I don't know if you noticed, one of the things that I did when I was doing that, I cut these at an angle and I cut these straight. The reason why I did that was so that I know which ones are which. Okay, because I wanted to be able to make sure that the ones that actually were supposed to go around the back of the card, piece of card, actually went around the back of the piece of card. Now you could wrap it around the card and tie your bow, and I don't know about you, but I've wrecked many a piece of cardboard doing that. Okay, and there we have it. So now you can trim these off a little bit more if they're too big for you, or you can just leave them as is. Okay, so we'll just put some more snail on the back of this one, or whatever adhesive you like. Quite frequently, if I'm not putting dimensionals under ribbon, I will actually also bring some liquid adhesive and just put a little bit on either side, maybe a little bit up there, just to make it so that it definitely stays stuck. Okay, eyeball it so that it lands in the spot where you want it to land, and press it down. Okay, so that's that. I've also given you 3 leaves in your pack. You won't need 3 leaves, or you can use 3 if you want. And I've given you a flower. This is cut using the dies straight from the designer series paper. Okay. All right. So sort of looking at where we're going to place it onto our ribbon so that I know where I'm going to place everything else. I can pop this piece down here. See, look at this. How amazing does this look? And you know what? I'm actually thinking that I might do that side this time because I think that's pretty. All right. So the choice is yours. All designer series paper comes with 2 sides. I'm a green person, so I do like doing stuff in green. So adhesive of your choice. Now, quite frequently, I like to do that with liquid glue because I do like to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room, because that just grabs straight away. Because I like it to be straight and even. Okay, there's a little bit of a seam there from where I cut it. All right, so that's that one. Then we're going to pop this on top of it. So again, now because I've got my bow there, or my knot, I'm going to use this because running the snail along that knot is just that wee bit too hard. If you wanted to do a tape runner, my suggestion would be that you actually stick it down first and then stick everything on top. So again, eyeballing it. There we go, just to make it so that it is nice and straight and relatively even using my grid paper. And then we'll bring in our dimensionals. Now I've forgotten to grab my mini dimensionals yet again, but it's one of my habits. I know I've got them, but I never seem to pull them out. Okay, so I'm just looking at that and what leaves that I'm going to use. So I just sort of want to line it up just a smidge. Do I want to use all 3 leaves? Do I not want to use all 3 leaves? Choice is yours. You've got 3 leaves to use. They do look better when you're doing sort of odd numbers rather than 2s, but it's leaves. So leaves can be a bit, they're allowed to buck up the system. All right, so they just more or less add another element to it or dimension to it. Soften that corner for want of a little bit of a different way of looking at it. And then that baby's going to sit on top of there. Okay, so I've got to glue my leaves down first. Now you can just pop a little bit of snail on here and stick them on it. Or if you're really good, you can use your multi-purpose glue and run around these pieces here. I have a tendency to get that all over me, I will just be saying. This is not going to have anything stick to it because it's going to be underneath this flower. So I'm just going to pop that leaf there, stick this one relatively close to it, and then I don't know if I've got enough adhesive there to stick this baby on. No, she wants to wiggle, so just stick another little bit of adhesive on top of you. And as the saying goes in Australia, Bob's your uncle. And then that baby's going to sit over the top of that, and that's going to look gorgeous. Now, you'll notice I've got my ribbon underneath here. So I'm going to want to put here's a pokey tool I prepared earlier. I'm going to want to put a dimensional under here and a dimensional under there. And that's really all it's going to need. So I just need that little bit of height. So I'm going to put a dimensional under here, so quite close to that top edge. And that's going to give that ribbon plenty of room to sit underneath it. That's my plan anyway. I'm hoping that's enough room. So you can either pick at these with your fingernails, you can pick at them with your tool, whatever floats your boat. Don't know about you guys, but I end up with these things absolutely everywhere. They stick to me, they stick to my kids, they stick to my dog. And they don't seem to get attracted to the vacuum cleaner. There we go. How does that look? Fairly pretty, if I do say so myself. So that's looking pretty smick there. Now, I don't like naked envelopes and naked insides. So thinking if you can have lots of things that can go with it, you could be thinking it could be a sympathy card, it could be, a crook, you know. So thinking of you is actually fairly, you know, covers a lot of different reasons to send a card. One of them is just because. So I'm going to actually stamp on here, and with our colour palette, I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow. Okay, so open up my stamp pad, push it along. Now, there's that leaf that I pinched the block from earlier, so I'll pop it back on its own block. Okay, now I'm actually going to use this for all of my cards, this piece of scratch paper. So what I will do is stamp off over on the side. So you're not going to see me stamp off, but essentially I'm going to stamp off my paper, off my leaf. Now you could, if you don't have anywhere to stamp off, there's no reason, because I'm going to cover this up, I could stamp off in here and then there. Because I'm trying to avoid messing up my grid paper, which no one's going to care about when we watch the next video, but you know, I just want, put that on that side. I just want there to be a little bit of variety here. Okay. Let's have a dark leaf. Okay. Just for something to go on the inside. And look, sits over that perfectly. And the same with my envelope. Got falling leaves absolutely everywhere. Okay, you could cover this whole piece at the back here if that's what you wanted to do. Sometimes I just go like so. Okay, that goes with my card. So now, close up my ink pad. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really good at sticking my elbow in it. Okay, bring back in my adhesive of my choice. It's getting low. Cover up that mess that nobody saw us make before. And there you go. There we have that card. And if you turn the designer series paper over, there it is there. I've also added an extra leaf. Now, if you've got a Wink of Stella and you want to add a bit of bling, you can do that. The choice is yours. Okay, and this is our next card. We're going to bring a few more extra elements in. Again, you can swap your sentiment out as you need to. I've stamped some extra leaves. If you don't have this Magnolia, the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set or the Magnolia Blooms, then you can pull in any other leaf that you think works or looks good, because leaves are leaves. Okay, and I've just stamped them for a little bit of extra, I don't know, pizzazz is probably a nice way of putting it. Again, I'm not going to show you how to do the envelope this time. The envelope I've stamped the same, all right, and on the inside I've got the same sort of thing happening. So I'll just show you how to make the front of this card. Okay, and I'm going to tweak a couple of things because you've got some options here. Now I did bring this little piece of ribbon over. It was the end of the roll, so I thought, oh, I'll just show you what happens when you colour it in. If you've got some alcohol markers, colouring your ribbon in is actually an option. Okay, so in your pack, again, you'll find your base card. This is Pear Pizzazz. You'll find an envelope and an inner for your card, and then you'll find all your pieces for your front, including your ribbon. All right. So we've got a piece for the front. It's the same piece as we used before. You can use it in either direction. Both of them will work. Okay. You've got another stitched rectangle. And using the Magnolia dies, what I've done is I've cut out this flower piece for you. Now, when you look at my card, I don't know if you can see there. I'm hoping that it's in focus. It looks a little, it doesn't look white anymore. So what I've done is I've used a dauber, okay? If you're not sure what a dauber is, it's these. And just with my petal pink, I've actually given a little bit of colour. White will work, but it just gives it a little bit of an extra dimension if you add the petal pink to it. Okay, I've got my petal pink stripe. So let's get making, okay? All right, again, pulling my bone folder, burnish off my piece of card. Now, you'll notice that's the way I've made it. If I do it this way, because of my leaves, it's still going to work. Do you see? Okay, and this is the strip for here. All right. Don't know why I have that in here. It's a surprise piece. It's actually for the next card. All right, so that's essentially what it's going to look like if we decided that we wanted to use that piece. But I'm not going to. I'm still going to stick with my flowers because I actually really like the flowers. You could run leaves all the way up around the outside, up and down the side here. You could put other things there if you wanted to. If you had a flower that looks similar, you could also stamp the flowers along here. All right, but I'm not going to do that at the moment because I'm going to stamp leaves on the other side. First things first, I've got to join these two pieces. Okay, so you've got 1 centimetre approximately there. I actually took notes. Okay, it's 1.5 centimetres. All right, and it's going to stick under here. So the easiest way I found to do this with using my grid paper, okay, was I lined my pieces up on some grid paper, and then I actually put just a little you can use any adhesive that you like, but I've just used my multi-purpose, and I've been very, very stingy with it. Mine gets held upside down, my glue. You can do it with a cup, you can do it with anything that you like. Okay, so I actually only want, now I've got the inches side up, and these grids are all 1/4 inch. I only want 1/4 inch showing. So what I will be doing is I'm going to line it up with the top and the bottom, but then I'm actually also lining up this grid line here so that I know when I turn this baby over, not only is it going to be straight, that's my plan anyway, but it's only going to be 1/4 inch showing. Now, I got a bit dodgy there with my cutting. You can just trim that off. Okay. All right. And then that piece is going to sit there. Okay. So I'm actually going to glue that straight down. Okay, no more snail, it's run out. Does everyone know how to change a snail? Let me get a replacement to show you. Okay, so the replacements come in a pack. This is a little case. All right. So when you squeeze the snail here and here, it just pops off like so. Okay, tip that out of there. Just throw everything on the floor. I took this little piece out, and easy peasy. Only goes in one way. And snap that back into piece. And this is rubbish, essentially. So that goes in the bin. Okay. And then we have new snail. And off we go again. Some people say I'm too generous with my adhesive, but that's okay. I'd rather it stay stuck. Okay, so we just pop this piece down here. Press it down nice. Alrighty, so now we need some leaves. Okay, so I'm going to put that approximately there. I'm going to stick this approximately there. So I need my leaves to stick out from under here and under here. So again, I'm just going to use my Mossy Meadow. I know this is purpose as this cardstock, this card base, but my leaf stamp's done a runner. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'll take this one here away. Okay, I'll just stamp off on my scratch pad. Then I'm going to go like so, like so. And all I'm doing is actually moving out, because I don't want lots of leaf showing, but I just want a little bit of extra texture, just so that it's not okay. And this is going to, remember, that's going to go over the top. And that's going to go on there. So looking here, that's fairly even. So I actually want one that's going to come out the side here. So just put that over the scratch pad that off, just so it's not all really even. Look, I could go all the way over if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Now also want some on the bottom here. And I'm going to stamp them off as well. But then more or less just to give a little bit of texture. So I don't know if you saw, I only put ink on that once. Okay. I'm thinking, yeah, that's going to be good. Okay. I can deal with that. All right. Now I'll pull out my happy birthday stamp. This one's actually from the Magnolia Bloom set. Okay, bring it a little bit closer to me. Just tap it. Pop it down, tell it how wonderful you are, and then pick it back up. And it is very obliging. Now, okie dokie, so just close that up. I've got white ribbon, but if you'd like to do something with your different with your ribbon, and that's why I've got this little scrap. I pulled in my blender pen. This is the light petal pink blender pen. Let's move my flowers and bits and bobs to the side because this is rather messy. So this is just a piece of scratch paper that I've got off to the side, or commonly known as copy paper. And these guys can colour your ribbon. So essentially, you've got any colour ribbon you like. So I wasn't sure if I was going to like that colour, but I think that would look pretty smick. So guess what? And I'm still going to use my scratch paper. It dries really quickly too. You don't have to. But what you do have to do is I might start at this end down here. Now I've given you enough ribbon that if you would like to tie a bow, you can. And then I'll turn you over, and then I'm going down the rest of the ribbon. Now this ribbon is actually really soft, but this alcohol colour and this alcohol does make it go a little bit stiffer. So you might want to rethink a bow and do a knot like I've done. Okay, it's just nice to have a little bit of colour. Okay, but again, like I said, you don't have to do that. But let's see, it just changes the dynamics just a little bit. Okay, so I'll just pop that to the side. And you'll see here on my original card, or it's actually still just white, because the white goes, okay? But this is going to go good too. Okay. Now, how did I do that knot? Well, you can do it the same way that I did it on the block, or you can do something else. So, about, I don't know, half an inch up, I put some adhesive. Then I put the ribbon around the corner and I see if that's high enough for my liking. I think I want it a little bit higher, so just pull it off, put it up a little bit higher. Okay, don't pull it too tight because you don't want it tight so that it curls, because I'm actually wanting it so that more or less I can fit my finger under it. So if I put a finger under there and pull it around and stick it down here, see how I've got a bit of give? Okay, using my ribbon scissors, snip that off. And the reason why I've done that, and I haven't pushed that down too heavy, because I actually want to be able to move it if I need to. So I'm going to push this underneath here. Now, if you do it one way, the ends end up going like that. If you do it the other way, ends end up underneath. So it just depends on what look you want. So I've turned my piece upside down so that I can go right over my left over right. And I end up with that sort of bow. Okay, and you can see why I left a bit of give, because now it's nice and flat. All right, and for the intents and purposes of the process, I'll just undo it. Okay, so I'll put it under. Now, if I go, put it under and I go the same way, but I had that facing me, I end up with it just on a little bit of a different angle. See? So it just depends on what look you're after. Now you can leave that long, or you can even tie it a second time if you want. I found that I didn't have to, but it may loosen. You can stick a glue dot under it, or you can just leave it as is. But you needed that little bit of give so that when you tied your knot, you didn't end up with paper that was curled up like this. Okay, so see how you've got extra. If you wanted to tie a bow, you could, but you don't have to. Okay, so that's my knot. I'm going to leave them long until I'm finished making my card so I can trim them to where I like. Now I can pull this piece off again, just because I can, and I can smooth it out around that corner so that it's nice and firm, and stick it down. Okay. The other beauty about these knots when you do them this way is I've changed my mind. I want it on the other side. I just drag it across and then I can put it on the other side. Okay. How cool is that? But for this card, I don't. I actually want it on this side and quite close to the edge there. Okay. So let's get building our card. That piece is going to go there. Now we've got our white piece here. I'll just move that to the side and I'll bring in this is my petal pink. Open her. My name has made it so that it's stuck. See how on this one here, I've stuck my name on the top? It needs to go on the side or on the bottom, just for future reference. Believe it or not, that's petal pink. I actually put these through the washing machine. So I've had some non-Stampin' Up! Ones just come apart, but the Stampin' Up! Ones are pretty good. They stay together. Whenever I'm doing a black load, all of my sponges go in with it in a bag. Okay. I've just put a little bit of ink on there and I'm just going around my flower. I just want a hint of colour. Okay, so I've gone dark around the edges and I'm just lightly pushing it over the top here, just to add. It gives it a bit of dimension without me having to curl it or do anything. Okay. Yeah, there you go. I'm missing half a name on that one. Okay, now this little guy, you can use our fine tip glue pen, which I don't actually have on this table. It's over sitting on the one at the back behind me, or you can use whatever adhesive you like. But I just pop these little bits around here. Less is best. I always say that with this. Less is best, and try not to get on your fingers because it's very sticky. Eyeball this baby. There she is. Okay. And since I've got my multi-purpose glue out, I'm going to stick it down with that. So I'll put some of that on there. Make sure I stick some on the ribbon because it's a ribbon that is the place where it will give. Actually, I'm looking at that ribbon. I'm going to trim it up because there's 2 layers of it here. And I don't want that height because I want the height to come from a flower. So yeah, that's better. Okay, turn her over. Oh, talking too much. And I'll just pop. Oopsie. So one of the good things about the multi-purpose glue, you have wiggle time. Wiggle time being the time where before the glue actually grabs it, you can push and shove it around. Okay? That was pretty clever. Didn't do that deliberately. Although, actually, no. I planned it that way. Okay. These are going to be way too long. All right, so, and then that baby is going to sit there like so. Now, again, you've got 3 leaves because I like to do things so that they're not even. I'm pushing on the top of my flower because then I can stick things underneath it because it pops up a bit. Just so I can see where they are, so I can stick where the snail's going to go. Before I put my adhesive down. That looks pretty smick if you ask me. So this corner is going to get quite a lot of attention with adhesive. Okay, just to stick those guys in. Okay, so if I remember correctly, we had you sitting there like that, you sitting there like that, and then this baby over the top, but not too far in, and then that one's going to sit on top of them. Yeah, what do you reckon? I'm thinking they need to come down a little bit, and you need to come out a little bit there like that one. You need to go over there. Play around with them, have a bit of fun. Stick my baby one on. Again, you can, if you want to, you can put a little bit of fine tip glue all the way around and down there. Stick my leaf down here. Now, when I put this baby on, it's almost like a lily instead, isn't it? So I want my knot to come over a bit more. Just pull it over a bit more. So I'm going to need to put, to get around my ribbon here, I'm going to need to put dimensionals under here, and there's going to need to be dimensionals up the top here. So I can get down this bottom bit here, I can use my nice big fat dimensionals. Okay, and up along this top bit, I'm just going to use the tiny squidgy ones. So how many more do I need? Got one down in that bottom corner. This corner here needs a little one. And I'm thinking somebody up here might need one. Just up there. Off you come. we go. And get my ribbon scissors, which are definitely different to my paper scissors. Snip those babies off. If you want to make it do stuff that you want it and be persistent with it, you can stick glue dots under it and force it into submission. Okay. And there we have the front of card 2. Okay, so card 1 and card 2. I do like this extra little piece of petal pink ribbon on there. It's actually rather pretty, that colour. This ribbon ends up a little bit stiffer, but not much. And you don't need a lot of colour. You can use the darker one if you prefer. Actually, you can colour them with any colour. But I think that turns out pretty good. Okay. Okay, and now we've got card number 3. So we're going to step it up a little bit. Okay, we're going to bring in some extra features. So in your pack, you'll actually already have, I don't know if you can see this on here, the 3D embossed folder. That's this baby here. Okay, this is called the Magnolia 3D embossing folder. It's beautiful. And it gives you a really amazing image. Okay, that goes through any 6-inch or bigger die cutting embossing machine. We're also using the timeless label punch to make our tag. All right, and you'll find that already cut in your bag. Okay. So we're going to use our Magnolia memory dies. I'll just open these and I'll show you to make our flower. Okay, we're actually using this one here and this one here. All right. So there, I've cut one of this and I've cut 2 of these ones for you. Okay, and then we've got some solid leaves in this set. Quite a few. It's an amazing little set. Like there's 2 lots of each of these leaves, of each of the leaves. These are 2 different sizes, the stamens. Okay, and we've got a nice little gem to go in the middle. You'll also find that in your pack. So we'll get started on doing this. This card, again, I won't do the envelope this time again because you've seen that in the first one. Hopefully I won't run out of snail this time either. So I've stamped my envelope the same. The other thing I've done, this is where that little, no, this is not where that little strips come from. Where did I do that? I wonder what other cards I've made, but I'll show you. That's okay. I think I know where it came from. So we've got numerous layers, all of which you'll find in your pack, and you've got everything to make your flowers, some extra leaves. And I'm going to do something different on the center, on the inside of this one, just to show you so that you can actually choose whether you use it or not. Okay. All right, so we'll just pop that one to the side. We'll get our bag and we'll pull it all out. Now, I was going to use So Saffron for the little stamen, but our new Bumblebee cardstock that's coming worked perfectly. So you've all got a little tiny piece of that in there. And we've got our organdy striped ribbon in petal pink for this one. You've got approximately 14 inches of that in your box. Again, you've got enough in your bag, sorry, you've got enough to do a bow, but I've done a knot on this. I'll just put everything to the side. And I've done thanks on this card. So let's fold her up. Okay. Just noticed that I think I need to change my blade finally. This new Stampin', the Stampin' Up trimmer that they've brought out, I was running classes in person a lot before COVID came into vogue, and I'm now doing them. I am not cutting as much cardstock, but I'm noticing it's starting to get a bit fluffy, and that's my first blade. So it's actually got good staying power. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, I don't know if you noticed when I was showing you the card, did you see all the little leaves are actually stamped on there, and they're stamped on there in petal pink, just to give that background a bit of texture. Okay. I'm slacking, I didn't clean it from before, so I'll clean it up on my well-loved sponges. Looking smick. Okay, now you can use Versamark, which will give you a similar sort of look. I can show you what that looks like first if you don't have the petal pink, because I do have some Versamark here. There's one I prepared earlier. So that'll just come up in a little bit of time, see? Whereas in comparison to petal pink. So the choice is yours. This is quite subtle, but it's still pretty. Okay, oh, I don't want to put that one away, I want to put the Versamark away. If you wanted to, and you wanted to stamp off, because we're going to cover up this middle bit, there's nothing stopping you from doing it a bit paler. And you can stamp more than once. Okay. Now that I've started that, I'm going to continue it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm turning my stamp so that not all of them are in the same, all my leaves are in the same direction. That third one didn't work, did it? But that's all right. It's just to provide a little bit of something. Oh, that one's dark. Okay, let's make another dark one down here, up there. Because what you put on one side, you've got to put on the other to even it all up. Okay, so we've got that piece. Then let's start building our front. Okay, so I'll just pop that to the side, pop my leaves over there. Now I will keep my ink pad out because there's a couple of things that I've done. So around my little punched piece, I've put some ink. Don't want too much on here because I don't want it, just want it to be subtle. Now, I quite frequently will do that around everything, including my, oh, closing it again, including my petals on my flower. Okay, just around the tips, like so. Okay. We've got a couple of tips here. And look, you'll see that one, it even gives it a little bit of texture. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll be able to tell when I can go rewind the video. Just to give it a little bit of colour. And while I'm here, I'm just going to do this because I can. Again, just more or less because I can, and then I'll show you what the difference is. These daubers, you can get them in the online store. They're quite inexpensive. I do have one for most colours, but I do wash them. You can just wash them out in warm soapy water when you're doing your clear stamps if you prefer. Okay, so played with that dauber. Pull out my So Saffron. Even that, because I was planning to have that as my middle bits. And I've got my So Saffron ink. I'll just scrape it off a little bit, and I just want to put a little bit in the center. I'm just doing it in the center of all of them because I'm going to stick them all together. Okay. So it's just a little bit so that you can just see it. Now, I'm going to do this now because I want them to have time to dry. But before I do, don't know if you've ever seen that. You can actually do this with your leaves. There's 3 layers on this flower. Oh, that one got a bit of a crease in it. And do you remember the good old curling ribbon that we used to put on presents, or some people probably still do? We're sort of doing a similar sort of thing. This one's going to be my top one. My bottom one, I'm going to just have it, just trying to bend the paper into a little bit of submission, just because I can. Okay, so pop a little bit of adhesive in the middle there. And I'm going to sit like so. Actually, if I remember correctly, I didn't put that piece on first, I put that piece on last. Oopsie. That piece is supposed to go on top, but that's all right. We're just going to bend it in the other direction. But I do want to put these 2 pieces together. Just turn my petals around the opposite way because I put my adhesive in the wrong bit because I wasn't concentrating. And the reason why I've done that is because I actually want to turn this so that it doesn't end up square looking or triangle looking. I want it to be fairly even around, and it's just a matter of getting it into the spot where it looks good and then pushed it down. Okay, so it looks a bit more full, for want of a better word. Okay, I'll just curl up that one. Look, if you're going to put it in the male leg, it's going to get flattened anyway. Now I can put a little bit in there and pop that baby in the middle. And somewhere on my table, my gem has landed. So I'm going to pop my gem on here, and ta-da, there's my flower. Okay, so let's build it up. Okay, this little piece is going to sit over here. About centimetre and a bit from the bottom. And it's just to add another layer, a bit of element. And I'm going to do my ribbon the same way I did it before. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back here. I want my knot at that end. So pull this across here. If you'd like to tie a bow, as you can see, I've given you plenty of ribbon to tie a bow. If you don't want to tie a bow, then you don't need to. Now, this ribbon is a little bit slippery, so that bit's a bit sticky. Okay, again, a little bit of give. Crooked as a dog's hind leg. We don't want that nonsense. If it starts out straight, it will end straight. That's my plan anyway. Okay. Pop this piece under here and tie her in a knot. Okay. Now, this ribbon is slippery, so it does need a double knot because it will come undone. I think it's just the organza in it. Okay. Right, so that is left over right, right over left. Oh, actually, Oh, I don't know what I did that time. Let me just undo her and have another look. I think it was left over right, then left over right again. It was. So that was left over right, and left over right again gives you up and down. So if I go right over left this time, that's more of a sideways look, which is what I want. Left over right, then right over left. Okay. And I'm actually going to trim this straight away. If you had a roll of this ribbon, my suggestion would be that you actually knot and then cut so that you don't waste any of your ribbon. It's nice to be quite frugal. The other thing I like being frugal about, and if anyone's seen any of my other videos, you will also know, any of my listed videos, I'll often thieve from here. So I'll often punch out of there or cut a die out of there. Okay. All right, so we'll just put some dimensional backs on there, put some snail on there. Snail's not very friendly when you've got a knot, so I'll just put some of my favourite multi-purpose glue on here. Can you see it? Okay, so let us hold our tongue right and press that down. Oh, that looks nice with that little bit of edge on it, doesn't it? Okay. My flower is going to sit here because my tag is going to sit there, so my flower can come down a bit. Oh, it's looking good. All right, okay. So let's put our sentiment on our tag. Now, it's crooked too. I've actually used Early Espresso for this one. You can use black, you can use the Mossy Meadow, whatever you've got. You can put different sentiments on it. Now, the other thing I did was I punched it after I cut it, after I stamped it. So let's see how good this goes. Nice. Take one, worked. Okay, so that's my thanks. I do like thank you as well, but thanks, it's good. That's actually me. I say a lot more thanks than I do thank you. Okay, so bring this baby back in with our nice big mess in the middle. All right. Got a knot, so I'm back onto my Tombow. And I actually want the slipperiness to work in my favour for my liquid glue. Okay. Because I want to be able to eyeball it and put it so that it is straight. That looks good. Okay. Yep. All right. Now, if you did have Mossy Meadow ink, you could ink these up with Mossy Meadow. If you don't, you can do it with Versamark. If you don't want to do that, you can do it with any. I'm just doing that with that Petal Pink. It's only a little tiny bit of ink on here, but oh, it's probably a bit too hard to see. Actually can't, it's there. You can see it a little bit. It just gives that edge a little bit of colour. Or you can colour them with Wink Stella or make them more shiny and do all that sort of stuff. So now it's just a matter of placing things where you want them and then adhering them down. Now, I did put dimensionals under this. I ran them across this row and across here, and I used my minis. Okay, this is the only bit that's got dimensionals. Because that's got the flowers that curl up, I didn't put a dimensional under it. I only did the this sentiment. Okay. And take all these off. You know, it's funny, I used to be so, what's the right word for it? Not very generous with my dimensionals. And then I noticed that I kept getting all these curves and bows and everything, and I wasn't a fan. So I now use more of them. Now I've actually just pulled that little bit of ribbon down with it because I want the ribbon underneath my sentiment, and I want it hanging off the bottom here and hanging off the side there. Just draws the eye away a little bit. Okay, so, and I'm deliberately going to use multi-purpose glue under this baby because I want to be able to wiggle it around to get it where I want. So I'm going to stick a leaf over here. I'm going to stick a leaf down underneath here. You can go off that side, and another leaf. I'm going to stick it under there. We'll see what happens. Now they are one-sided, but you know what? You can use either side. It doesn't matter. No one will know. So I'm thinking that's going to be the spot for my leaves, and that looks pretty good. Okay. So pick up a leaf. Put some adhesive on said leaf, and it's going to attack me. Stick to my might need a little bit of extra putty to come out. Put a bit of no one said you have to actually stick the adhesive on the leaf, did they? So we'll stick that underneath there. Stick a little bit on here. Stick that there. And then put a little bit on the inside of that. Oops, can't see that leaf. Don't want that nonsense. I think my flower needs to go that way. But that leaf's not seeing much of that leaf, but that's okay. And I'm just pressing it down with my gem. Okay, so while that bit dries, I'll just bring in this piece here. This is my inside. Now, if I didn't have a stamp, which in this case I do, but if I didn't, and I am actually going to use this, I can pop this because I've cut it the same. That's 9.3 centimeters wide. Let's push this off the edge so I can grab it. Okay. And this is going to be my piece on the inside of this card. Look, you don't need to put the inside pieces on, but you can. I think that they make it a bit prettier. And I've supplied them, so if you'd like to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And there's card number 3. Okay, so can you see the difference with that little bit of edge and with the soft suede doorbit around the edge there? Okay. And it's not soft suede. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's petal pink. I haven't used soft suede in this card, even though it's one of my favorites. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed my first class as much as I've enjoyed preparing it for you. And I look forward to seeing you next month. I'm already playing with some new stuff. So if you're interested in the catalogue and you haven't got one in your hot little hands and you'd like one, let me know. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Thanks very much.